We're very excited about our second cruise we got coming up here in February, and Glen Lord from the Grief Toolbox is on the line today to discuss that grief cruise. And Glen's been involved in a lot of different things, so he's going to talk to us about himself, about the loss of his son Noah, and what all the things that he's doing for the bereaved.
Wonderful, and welcome to the show, Glen.
Hello, how are you all?
We are great. Thank you so much for calling into Grief Chat.
I'm excited for the opportunity, and one of the things I was thinking, I was listening to you guys when you were kind of doing the lead-in, and you were talking about kind of that grief, and kind of was this an upbeat concept, and I think it's important to remember that there's two sides of grief. In grief, we never forget, and we never get over it, but we learn to have the joy intermingle with the pain, and we learn to have the two dance together, and there is hope and there is joy in the grief journey, and I think it's important that we remember that. And that doesn't mean that there isn't the pain and there isn't the loss, because those are there too, but the two intermingle, and we learn to have them coexist.
Tell us about Noah, please.
Noah was a happy, vibrant, just wonderful 4-year-old boy, and he went in to have his tonsils and adenoids removed, and through a series of, just one after the other, medical errors and mistakes, Noah ended up dying from complications from that tonsillectomy back in 1999.
Oh, dear. The
Bereavement Cruise. Glenn, tell us about the Bereavement Cruise.
Yeah, the Journeys of Hope, Healing, and Health Bereavement Cruise.
Oh, I love it.
You can find, it is, because that is, hope and healing and health are all part of grieving. Now, the healing doesn't mean you're healed. I don't want people to misunderstand that. People don't, no, your grief will be part of your life, forever, and there'll be events that'll pop up later on. But there is healing, and it's an active, ongoing process. And it's a very, I think it's a great time. Who's ever been to a conference? I know you wrote an article about it. I think you called it Planet Grief. There's a unique environment that exists when you're able to be around a large group of other individuals who are bereaving. We immediately connect to each other. All of the things that maybe separate us, or if you go to another conference and you're out there for a business purpose or whatever, it can be difficult to connect with people. I mean, honestly, after half an hour, you often feel like you've met your next best friend, and in some cases, this is where lifelong friendships are formed, because people relate to one another and they understand what it is to be grieving, and they want to hear about your loved one, and they want to know about what's going on, and they aren't going to shy away from it. And then to have just the wonderful group of experts that we're going to have on the cruise to really help people, get some of their, get some direction and answer some tough questions. And Mitch, you're actually going to be our keynote speaker, and
oh, wow,
talking about your whole proactive grieving process, and that the whole, people, I know you probably heard a little bit of that on the radio show, but to really be able to spend some serious time with Mitch and have him help you better understand it, and have the opportunity to really work with him, one-on-one afterwards to even further understand it. Or, we have, another individual, a wonderful individual, Dr. Robin Gabe, who's going to be talking a little bit about, what does it mean to lose an adult sibling? So often people, talk about what it is to lose a sibling as a child, but, my sister just died in February, and what does that mean to us, and how does that affect you? Or, Cindy Bargan, she's going to be talking with, what is it, that connection of signs from heaven, and the real conversations that can happen between ourselves and our loved ones, and continuing that individual relationship. And we have another individual who's going to be talking about that, does time heal all wounds, and that the fact that that's a myth, and that's not how things work. And so we just have a whole group of just wonderful individuals. Herb Knoll's going to be out on the cruise. Herb is an author who's done a wonderful amount of research about widowers, and he interviewed, literally hundreds of individuals and spent thousands of hours, and has worked with many, many different widowers to help understand what is the widower's journey and what does that mean. Or Dr. Zimmer, and talking about, when grief becomes derailed, when we feel stuck in our grief process, and how do we get things back on there. And I'm going to be on there talking about find your purpose again. And what is your purpose now that your life has changed after your grief journey is over? And we're going to have a wonderful individual there who has an organization called the Butterfly's Journey, and that she has just an amazing creative way of working through photographs and writing names and messages on your arms to be able to free yourself and share with that. And we have another wonderful individual who's going to be working on doing the yoga and different grief aspects in that respect, and just really going to be, I think, a wonderful thing. And no matter what your focus is, you can participate where you want. That's Emma Poole, who's going to be doing the individuals, the yoga and things. But no matter where you are in your journey, you can participate where you want, not where you don't. You're not required to go in any of the sessions, but they're there, as well as we'll have a wonderful walk to remember right on the deck of the boat. And we're going to have some burials at sea. If anybody wants to do a burial at sea, we can work with the cruise company. We already have 2 of the individuals on the cruise who will be doing a burial at sea. So just all different aspects of forming that community and gaining that information. And it's just, again, you can find that information at www.j3hhh.com.
J3hhh.com.
Yeah.
Perfect. We want to say thank you so much for calling in today, Glenn. This information I know Mitch will have on his website as well, and we will post it on our KDWA website. Thank you so much for calling into Grief Chat, and you are listening to another edition of Grief Chat on AM 1460 and FM 97.7 KDWA in Hastings.